Hello and welcome back to another episode of Balls and Brew, the flagship sports podcast of the Morgan Podcast Network. We are gearing up for week 2. It is an all football episode. Joining me, as always, my guy, my right-hand man from North Carolina, 6'1" and pretty stinking bald, but still beautiful in his own way, Mr. Chris King.
Hello, Internet. Hey, Rod. How's it going? Bald and beautiful.
Yes, I'm hairy and still just as beautiful, and I am excited. I've got a great little factoid that I'm going to drop on you. And, of course, if we're talking NFL, you know who we have with us. He is our wise man who reads the scrolls, reads the tablets, knows what he's talking about. He's 2-1 after 1 week, folks, so he's already got a winning record. He was formerly known as the Anonymous Gambler. Now we just call him Josh Williams, our handicapper. Josh, hello.
What's up, Rod? Great to be back. We're coming off an awesome Monday Night Football telecast of Peyton and Eli. I know we didn't touch on this in the pregame show, but I just remembered. I wanted to get that in. It was fantastic. It was magnificent, funny, very informational. Anybody who missed it, I would strongly suggest everybody trying to catch the ESPN2 version of the telecast on Monday Night Football going forward.
Mr. King, I actually did want to speak on this. So did you get a chance to check in on the Peyton Eli broadcast?
Yeah. Listen, it was fantastic. And you learned so much. And there were some hiccups, but that was production stuff, week 1, live. It was just some stuff they need to wrinkle out. But the banner, you could definitely tell it's Peyton's show. It's gold every time he's on there, and him and Eli play off each other really well. And they had Ray Lewis on there talking all kinds of stuff. They had Russell Wilson on there, and if you weren't a fan of Russell Wilson as a quarterback after that, I don't know when you will be.
Mr. Williams, let me ask you this. A few too many guests, though, maybe? I mean, do we need to truck in 6 different guests for the podcast? Because let's just be honest here, right? That's what this was Peyton and Eli's podcast that was being recorded live alongside the Monday Night Football game.
I could not agree more, man. I'm good with no guest. Let's just have Peyton and Eli just talk football nonstop. You know, they got stories.
That Eli and Ray Lewis story about Eli's first game and how Ray Lewis was like, Eli's trying to call out the mic, and Ray's like, "No, Eli, I'm not the mic. He is," just messing with him. That was gold.
That was funny. And Kelsey not knowing that he was playing Baltimore the next week was good too. But man, I mean, Peyton was sitting on that peanut butter and jelly story with Greg Roman, offensive coordinator from San Fran, for 9 years.
Yeah,
for
9 years.
He was sitting on that story. And you know that he likes to bust others players' chops, man. You don't think he's got some stories about Aaron Rodgers, wanting to host Jeopardy, for next week with Green Bay and Detroit? Oh man, I just hope that it's Peyton and Eli nonstop from here on out.
Yeah, I was quite impressed. I had some other business to attend to on Monday nights, and I'm actually going to tie that into football right here for you. It is a weird world these days in recruiting. What people find interesting and what people don't find interesting. Iowa Hawkeyes football right now is not only riding high and ranked in the top 5. Is that what you told me, Chris? They're actually in the top 5?
Yeah, they're ranked 5th right now.
All right, so that not only do they have that, but they can also boast to anyone that is a wrestling fan that the current WWE champion is a former Iowa Hawkeyes football player, a former defensive end by the name of Etor Ewan, played football for the Hawkeyes in 2006. He was a redshirt in 2004, and he was injured his freshman year of 2005. He walked away from the program after 3 years, was in powerlifting circles for a couple years, popped up in the WWE in 2013, and on Monday night, he walked away the WWE champion under his ring name, Big E. Shout out to him. So how about that, Williams? Do you think Iowa Hawkeyes will try to boast that they have a WWE champion now in their ranks of former players?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, why not?
Isn't that the third alumni they've had that's been the WWE champion? Did they have a couple wrestlers? Doesn't Kurt Angle from Iowa? Didn't he wrestle at Iowa? And didn't that one Gardner guy, didn't he also win WWE champion at one point?
I'm not entirely sure about Gardner. Kurt Angle, and I don't know if he went to Iowa or not, but Kurt Angle was definitely champion. But I just thought of football players. But that's not the only former college football player to be WWE champion, though, because, of course, our favorite, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, played football for the University of Miami before he came to the WWE.
True.
Something else pretty cool about that, though, it was the first time in the WWE's history where you had Bobby Lashley, a black champion, hand off the bell to Big E, another black champion. First time ever for the WWE. So that was pretty cool to see. So, yeah, I'm with you, Williams. I'm telling you, if I'm Iowa right now, you say we got WWE champions in our midst, and you can also say that the guy who's the WWE champion played for the same head coach that you still have now. Kurt Ferentz was the guy who recruited Big E, and he's still coaching Iowa.
That's pretty awesome. And
all right, that's enough. That's enough on college football, though. All right, because basically, I just wanted to shout out wrestling. And if you want to know more about wrestling, check in on the show on the Morganino Podcast Network. This very feed that comes out every Monday with myself and our super producer Jimmy Jamriska, who is the ultimate WWE fan. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, tune in. We got good information for you. But that's not what you're here for. You're here to talk about the NFL. Excuse me, I'm getting all choked up. I'm excited about it. But I want to start here. Let's look back. I said already, Williams, your record was 2-1. We'll get to Chris on his props. But your biggest takeaway from week 1 was what, Josh?
Okay, yeah, you guys were ahead of the curve on the Chargers preseason. I think you guys both had them making the playoffs. I liked them, but I didn't like them as much as the Broncos. And nobody moved higher up my power rankings than the Chargers this last week. It's clear and evident that Brandon Staley is the best rookie coach out of the 7 already. I mean, Herbert was the least pressured quarterback in week 1, and that is a testament to Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator. He knew to get the ball out early versus that pressure D line of Washington, and this is a game that that the Chargers would have lost, previously in previous years, going cross country, playing against a quality opponent, winning the whole game, and then finding a way to lose in the end. That wasn't the case, this last week in week 1. I think the Chargers are for real. I think they probably actually have a higher ceiling than the Broncos. Broncos probably have a higher floor, but the Chargers could easily make the playoffs. I'm moving them up in my power rankings.
That AFC West is looking tougher and tougher, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that the Chargers, the Justin Herbert looks like he's going to be one of the rising stars, and the non-Anthony Lynn factor, which is basically what Mr. Williams was saying there, and just doing it so nicely by not just pointing out that Anthony Lynn was the guy who used to make these bonehead decisions that would lose the games for the Chargers. But I heard something that he was like 13 of 18 on third downs, like under pressure. I mean, just insane, right? Like Herbert just seems like that guy who's just cool, calm, and collected and just get things done from the pocket.
Yeah, and surprisingly, he was the number 1 quarterback last year versus pressure, versus the blitz. That is unheard of as a rookie. And he had to get bailed out because Anthony Lynn was calling run plays on 1st and 10. He was calling run plays on 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. And then most predictable on 3rd and long, let's send this rookie quarterback out and throw it deep. I mean, Herbert had to overcome all of that last year, and he was the number 1 quarterback versus pressure. So, I mean, the Vegas odds, are moving Herbert up the ladder on MVP votes or MVP odds, and also Brandon Staley is the leader now for Coach of the Year on DraftKings. So the Chargers have a bright future with these two at the helm.
You like futures on coaches sometimes. You got to like those odds right there because the narrative of first-time coach takes over for a team and they improve. I mean, we got the NFL is littered with Coach of the Year winners that have that on their resume, right?
Yeah, last year, Stefanski. I mean, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, and look.
See, I know a thing or two, right? I listen to you, Mr. Williams. You always give us this good information, and I can retain some of these nuggets in the back of my head, even though I'm watching all this wrestling, and I could give you the whole Ettore and Big E played for Iowa. I still got this other good stuff.
And Stefanski gets a bump from last year because Kitchens was so bad. That's the same thing with Staley this year because Anthony Lynn was so bad. So the parallels are very evident there.
All right, I like that. Mr. King, let's go to you. Your biggest takeaway after week 1 was what?
That we actually got to see Matthew Stafford play with a good team. I mean, how long have we all known that Stafford had this type of talent, but he was stuck in Detroit? No offensive line to protect him, so he's getting hit every single game a lot. Had Calvin Johnson, but Detroit wasn't able to keep him. Because they pissed him off and he left, and now we see Stafford in LA lighting it up. He's got good receivers. He's got a good line. He's got a solid defense on the other side of the ball to help keep him off the field and rested. It is the perfect situation, and I think Stafford, in my mind, may end up being the best quarterback this year.
You think you saw a highlight reel for Matt Stafford last week versus the Bears defense? Just wait till he gets a hold of this Colts defense this weekend. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be absolutely brutal. Mr. Williams, I know we had kind of talked around, flirted. You gave us Joe Burrow as a good number, but I think we always talked Matthew Stafford might be somebody in the running for passing yards, and it looks like the Rams are going to be content to just chuck the ball over the field because their running game was not really great that first game versus the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, losing Cam Akers was tough for them preseason, and that's another one that Stafford's MVP odds have skyrocketed. I mean, it really ever since they signed him, they were kind of bloated. Even though I liked him, there wasn't any real value on betting Stafford MVP. But there might be for passing yards. But yeah, I mean, Stafford finally gets to play in an offense with a competent offensive coordinator, not just a competent one, and one of the best ones in the league. So, I mean, Stafford's got to be loving this.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're going to see the Rams at 2-0 after the second week, and I think what people are going to be saying to themselves is they're like, yeah, the Rams are 2-0, but they haven't really played any real football teams yet, so that could be the narrative that we have for the Rams, and that feeds into what my biggest takeaway is, and yes, I'm a homer, but Chris will back me up on this. I'm a homer that is one of the first to just break bad on his own team, and I do not like what I see out of Indianapolis. That offensive line was getting torn up by a above average, yes, but not really a great or dominant Seattle defensive line. Carson Wentz holds the ball for entirely too long. He was not throwing the ball deep down the field. Sure, you can give me that T.Y. Hilton wasn't there, and that's the Colts' deep threat, but T.Y. Hilton's going to play 4 games, so that leaves a whole lot of other weeks where you're not going to have a deep threat. So, man, I'm really scared. I'm scared. And then the defensive backfield as well was absolutely terrible. I'm scared, Chris.
It wasn't just that he wasn't taking shots downfield. Our 2 highest receivers were both our running backs. They both had 6 catches. You know, that can't be what you're doing. You can't just check down all the time. And that seemed to be what he was doing way too much. But some of those were actually planned screens, you know, and I thought there was just way too much of it. You can't have your top 2 receivers be your 2 running backs.
Williams, I mean, do you feel a little bit for the Colts offensive line? Because as much as I'm dogging them here, they are going from Phillip Rivers, who I heard the other day was the 6th fastest at getting rid of the ball from snap last year, to Carson Wentz, who was dead last last year in how quick they would get the ball out after getting it from center. I mean, he was going 2.93 seconds on some of those routes when it was supposed to be a quick out to the back in the flats. I mean, Mr. Williams, come on. I know you're not a Colts fan, but what did you see?
Yeah, I mean, it was rough early going. And they've had basically everything go wrong in the preseason and the off season with all these injuries. I think it's a case of I don't think the sky is falling in Indianapolis. I think actually the sky is falling somewhere else in the AFC. We'll get to that later, but I know you guys are passionate Colts fans, so I'll try to talk you off the ledge here shortly.
Oh, all right. That's a little bit of a tease. We got lots of Bear fans that listen to this. So, Mr. Williams, I got to admit, your Bears looked a little stronger than I thought they might on offense at times. But that defense, I mean, are the monsters in the midway not really there anymore? Or was that just the Rams are that good?
No, I mean, this defense stinks. I mean, I don't understand some of these Bears fans that were thinking that we're going to have the 2018 defense. I mean, Khalil Mack he's just not himself the last couple of years. We lost Kyle Fuller. You know, we don't have Bryce Callahan anymore. This team lacks leadership, and it's clear and evident. I mean, how can you let Van Jefferson, that long pass, he catches it, dives for it at like the 7-yard line, and both safeties run past him, don't even touch him.
I did wonder why Williams is going crazy.
I mean, it's just it's sad, man. This team is sad. It's lack of ownership, lack of leadership. It's just sad all around, and I don't know when this is going to get better. This is why the plan did not make sense. If you're going to draft a young quarterback, give him a new regime because there's no way that Nagy and Pace are coming back next year. You're going to waste a year with Fields. So, well, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I mean, if you want, the sky is falling. The sky is falling on the Bears, and that's the truth.
Yeah, Chris, let me ask you this, though. Isn't the worst thing for the Bears here actually that excuse me, I got something in my throat tonight. Isn't the worst thing for the Bears here that Dalton wasn't the only reason they were bad, and like it's not just glaring that if you pull Dalton out of there, something's going to be different, so we're going to get Andy Dalton to start at least a few more games? Isn't that actually the worst for the Bears?
Probably, because you can't point to just a quick, easy fix. There's numerous issues, like Williams was saying, on that team. So, yeah, that's about as worst news as you could be. Like, oh, well, that's not going to fix anything.
Yeah, you're familiar with the Andy Dalton experience. You got a little bit of Andy Dalton last year when your guy Dak was down. So, you know from what you speak there. So, there we go. That's a touch in on the Colts and the Bears, and we got a little Chargers in there. But let's move on to the player props here real quick. Mr. King, how did we fare in our first ever week trying out some of the props?
Well, it was definitely a case of listen to what I say and not what I do. I told everyone to really lock into unders, and I gave them 2 overs, and neither one of them hit. Harris did have a touchdown. It got called back, so we missed on that. And then Jefferson out of Minnesota, right at 71 yards. He needed just one more catch, and he would have went on the over probably of the 79.5. Williams was 1-1. Calvin Ridley, who we all thought was going to have a good year. That Atlanta offense looked anemic at best. Didn't come close to the 75 yards, so we missed that. But he did get the Aaron Jones under on rushing attempts. It was set at 16.5, and he ended up having, 5, I think, Williams?
Yep, that's correct. Only 5.
Yeah. So
you hit that one. You had plenty of room to clear on that one then, Mr. Williams. Goodness gracious.
Right. I've got another under, ready to go this week if you want to get to it.
Well, I mean, if it comes, let's do it like we did last week. We had a decent little flow last week. If a prop is from a game that we talk as one of your picks, we'll bring it up there. If not, then we'll clean up the props afterwards. So let's start with the big red meat, the first pick of week 2. Mr. Williams, what do we got?
Okay, I'm going contrarian. This team looked pretty bad last week, and I'm going against the team that you guys thought looked pretty good. I'm going Minnesota +4 at Arizona. Look, Mike Zimmer off a loss is 30-15 against the spread. I just think this is don't overreact to Minnesota looking terrible in week 1 and Arizona looking awesome in week 1. I mean, week 2 underdogs coming off a loss when the spread is less than 6 points. They are 57-33 against the spread since 2005. That's 63%. I remember the Colts lost to Jacksonville week 1 last year, and Jacksonville didn't win another game the rest of the year. The Bucs lost to the Saints in week 1. They only went out and won the Super Bowl. The Browns got steamrolled by the Ravens early on week 1, and they were fine. So my whole thing on this is just don't overreact. Like I said, home underdogs in week 2 off a loss since 2003 have gone 49-38-1. So I just think this is also a Patrick Peterson revenge game. So
okay.
I think Zimmer's going to have his troops playing a lot better. Arizona, that was an outlier game. They're not that good.
That's where I was going to go real quick. Chris, I think the one thing that you and I can have solace in as far as the Colts, are going to be tying this game into the Colts somehow, is that I think the Titans are going to be bad. I really do. I think Arthur Smith had a lot to do with what was going on with that team, and I don't think their defense is that great, and I think it was clearly on play. I'm not trying to downplay your sneaky guy, Kyler Murray, who we may get to here in a week or two, but I think that had more to do with the Titans being bad, and that means the Colts are going to suck me in all year. I'm going to sit here and keep telling you guys they're terrible, and 7 and what is it? 7-10 might win the AFC South.
I don't know. Tennessee looked bad.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. So I kind of like Williams' pick here. I guess that's what I'm saying. What do you think about the pick here?
It's tough for me to believe any team that loses to the Bengals, even if it was just week 1. I don't have much faith in Kirk Cousins. I don't know.
Nor should you, but Burrows is a stud. He looked good at times in that game.
Yeah, I don't listen. I thought the offense looked good. I just, for the most part, they had issues moving the ball a little bit, especially early.
Well, that's the thing. Arizona certainly did not, but I think what Mr. Williams is playing here is the Zimmer factor. So that's what you say, Josh. Zimmer's just going to get the boys fired up, and we got to right the ship here immediately in week 2.
Yeah, one thing that'll be in common with my first 2 picks is that I'm just banking on good coaching, getting these guys more focused.
He's definitely a better coach than Kingsbury.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I get to bet against Cliff Kingsbury. Remember, Kingsbury started off red hot last year. They upset the Niners, and then the wheels just fell off after that. I think the more teams get to look at Cliff's offense, the more they figure it out. He's got the horizontal raid going on in Arizona, and I just think Minnesota +4 there's some value here.
All right, I like it. Mr. King, any of your props coming out of this one, or can we move on?
Move right along.
All right, pick number 2. Josh, what do you got?
All right, I'm doing it. I took this team +4.5 early. There's been some sharp money on this team. It's down to 3.5. I still like them, and that's none other than your Indianapolis Colts +3.5.
Oh my God, this is suicide. What are you doing? You're driving your car into an embankment right now. What are you doing?
Listen, with how the Rams set their D up, they dare teams to run on them. I mean, the Colts will gladly do that all day at home. They get left tackle Eric Fisher back. They're going to ball control.
Are you sure about that? I saw their injury report the other day. That offensive line was all over that injury report. Are you sure about that?
Let's hope. Let's hope they get Eric Fisher back. But even if they don't, I think this coaching staff is going to get this offensive line ready. They're going to ball control this game to death. Like I said, there's a good coaching staff. They will make adjustments. They will dink and dunk down the field. And remember, this is the big Carson Wentz injury revenge game. When he was on his way to MVP, he got that injury against the Rams. So there's a little extra motivation for Carson Wentz. You've got the Rams traveling cross country on a slightly short week. And listen, I thought the Rams were going to demolish the Bears, and they did. But I was not, impressed by that Rams defense, especially their rush defense.
Nor should you be.
The Bears ran all over them. And I think the Colts have a much better offensive line than the Bears. They have better running backs than the Bears. They have a better coaching staff than the Bears. And they're playing at home, and they're getting points. Remember,
they played at home last week. What good did that do the Colts last week?
Home underdogs in week 2 off a loss have gone 49-38-1 against the spread.
All right. I'm so against you on this. I'm angry at you right now for even picking this game because the Colts. I don't even want to talk about the Colts anymore. It's pathetic because here's the other thing. We mentioned it in our preview, but I think it's coming up. I think some of these offensive linemen and some of these Colts players that keep coming up saying they did not participate in practice and we don't know why. Some of them are pretty vocal about not getting the vaccine, and I think that's going to matter with the Colts. I just think it is.
There's one thing that's in Williams' favor as well, and that is the record of West Coast teams traveling to the Eastern time zone.
That's such garbage. This isn't the Eastern time zone. This is the Midwest.
It's still the same time differences. If
the
they were
flights
going
aren't
to
as
New York.
long. The flights aren't as long.
That's not. It's just that's how they do the math. Okay, I'm not making the rules up here, Rod. So don't get on me on it. I just know they have a very bad.
Everybody coming on here throwing pillows out to the Colts. Why are we making all these excuses for the Colts? Why can't they just be terrible?
They're listen. They didn't look as good as I was hoping they were going to look last week. I don't think they're going to beat the Rams either. At the beginning of the year,
good. That's all I wanted out of you. That's all you needed to say. Rod, you are right. We can move on. That's all you needed to say. Come on. What about you don't have a prop coming out of this game, do you?
No, I do not.
All right, good. See, because you're smart. Williams, you're the only crazy one who wants to put a bet on the Colts.
Remember, they're getting 3.5. I actually got them at 4.5, but for the record, we'll track it at +3.5. They don't have to win this game. They could lose by 3 and still cover.
Yeah, they're not even going to be within a field goal range of the. And guess what? The ghost, T.Y. Hilton, is going to ghost us again by not being in the lineup. Oh, God, Colts. All right, fine. I've belabored the Colts enough. Mr. Williams, pick 3.
All right, this is the team that the fans should be worrying about that the sky is falling here. I'm not going to take the line. I'm going to take a team total. I'm going to go Monday night. KC team total over 30 against the Ravens. I know I picked the Raiders to cover against the Ravens, and that was a wild Monday night game, and they ended up winning. But I did not like what I saw from the Ravens. They used cover 0 blitz against Derek Carr pretty much that whole fourth quarter and in overtime. And Derek Carr actually is really good against the blitz. He's got a passer rating of 120.
Peyton was so disappointed in the end of that game.
Believe it. Yeah.
He was so disappointed.
I mean, and we talked about the Ravens' injuries with their running backs, which is a pretty big deal. But the biggest injury was to Marcus Peters being out for the year. And now you had Jimmy Smith banged up. They don't have the corners to cover these Chiefs players, especially if they're going to blitz. I mean, the Ravens have blitzed Mahomes on 45% of his dropbacks the last 3 games they faced him. Guess what? Yeah, guess what? They're 0-3 in those 3 games. He's completed 76% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, no picks versus the Ravens when they blitz. I mean, we saw Monday Night Football. Like I said, the Ravens don't care what you run; they are going to blitz you. And I mean that.
Well, so I'm sorry. What'd you say the pick was here?
KC team total over 30.
Okay.
So the Chiefs scored 34 at Baltimore last year through 3.5 quarters. Their last drive, they were just running the clock out. They had 10 plays, so they covered that. I mean, not really easily.
I love that bet because even if the Ravens come to play, right, and you're wrong that the Ravens are better than they looked last week, then that means it's a shootout, and so KC over 30 will pay off. So
right, yeah, and I really wanted to take and if you want to take the Chiefs, minus 3.5, go ahead. I don't really love laying points to a team that needs to win very very badly in the Ravens, but like I said, the Chiefs scored 33 against Baltimore in 2019 too. So and Patrick Mahomes is undefeated in September. So, I mean, this Ravens team, they're desperate, but they do not match up well with the Chiefs, especially if they're going to blitz the whole game.
I heard some stat with Mahomes that like Mahomes is 7-4 in games where he's trailing by double digits in like his short career, and like that's just leagues above better than anybody's ever been in those kind of games. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, and I think the number 2 and number 3 on that list are Brady and Montana, and they're both like multiple games under 500. So that's an insane stat.
I mean, I was again my wild underdog upset pick of the week last week was the Browns, and I said you weren't going to need the points, and I was close. I was so close, and then Mahomes just went Mahomes in the second half and was just pulling. It was like playground football out there. So I love that. Bet.
Also, remember what I said about this could be a possible AFC Championship preview with Cleveland and KC, and
yeah, you
and
got
how
what
I
you wanted.
almost wanted Cleveland to lose that game. That's exactly what I wanted. Now they got all the motivation. They blew that game. They know that they can play with the Chiefs. They know they match up well with them. I don't care if it's going to be in Kansas City. Cleveland can win that game. Kansas City does not want to see Cleveland come January.
Yeah, and then hopefully they have a healthy OBJ when they play that game, and maybe that'll make just a little bit of difference. That'll put the Browns over the top there.
Agreed.
All right, Chris, let's move over to you, my friend. What do you got for player props this week?
Okay, so to let you guys know kind of how quick some of this stuff can change. So this afternoon I had picked the prop that I wanted to get in on, and that was Tua for Miami. His line was at 32.5 rushing yards, and I was going to pound the under hard. And by the time we got ready to record this podcast, it had changed to 13.5 rushing yards. And at this point, I think I take the over. I think he's going to do a little bit of scrambling. I think he's going to get a couple rushes in. He didn't have to do that last week. The Bills kept him kind of contained. I think that's not going to happen this week. So I would take the over right now of 13.5 rushing yards for Tua.
Over 13.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, even though the better bet would have been this afternoon as an under with 32.5. Now this will probably turn out to be another do as I say, not as I do, where you should probably still hit the under.
I like that. Mr. Williams, what first prop are you going to give us?
Okay, I like a under Austin Hooper under 35.5 receiving yards. I believe you can find that on DK.
How many guys do you think call him Stone Cold?
Austin Hooper. I bet they called him that growing up, man. That would have been awesome.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I got wrestling on the brain again there. What'd you say? Under what?
Under 35.5 receiving yards. look, man, he only ran 14 routes in week 1 in what was a very up-tempo game against the Chiefs. He's splitting time with 2 other very capable tight ends in David Njoku and Harrison Bryant. I'm expecting a much heavier run game plan at home versus Houston in week 2. I mean, he only ran 14 routes. I think this is a good projected under at 35.5. Like I said, it's not sexy, but
love it.
It is what it is.
No, I love it. Listen, I've had Austin Hooper on numerous fantasy lineups over the last couple of years, and that guy does nothing but disappoint every single time I ever put him in. So I wish nothing but bad things upon that guy. I'm sorry. I'm in a foul mood this week, Austin Hooper, and you just caught some shrapnel. Chris, your second prop.
I'm going to Tampa Bay with this one. Tampa Bay's playing Atlanta, who does not look very good at all.
Speaking of shrapnel, you took a stray at Atlanta earlier in the podcast.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the over on Leonard Fournette getting 34.5 rushing yards. Last week against Dallas, Tom Brady threw for 50 times. He's not going to have to do that against Atlanta. I think you're going to see Fournette get anywhere from 10 to 15 carries, and that'll easily push him over that 34.5 yards.
So again, folks, I'm just going to point out to you guys that Chris and Williams have both told you constantly pound the unders. They said that last week, didn't do it, lost, came back this week, and Chris has taken 2 overs again, just so we have this right. I absolutely love it. Williams, your second.
My first was an under. I'm going with an over this time. I think you can find this on Caesars, actually. It's Terrace Marshall. He is the rookie slot receiver for the Carolina Panthers, over 2.5 catches. This line, I think, is too low. This guy is going to be Sam Darnold's safety blanket this year. He's a big, oversized slot that knows Joe Brady's offense from being in it. In 2019, he won a national championship over at LSU. He had 6 targets last week in a more run-heavy game, against the Jets. Now they should be playing from behind versus the Saints. And the Saints, we saw, have a good pressure defense. Darnold's going to need to get that ball out quick. Terrace Marshall, big slot guy, over 2.5 catches. I think that's a good prop. And you're getting that at plus 130 on Caesars. I really like that one.
Not just a good salad, folks, a good sports app, as we have all seen JB Smooth remind us of numerous times on television commercials. You just made me think of something I did want to bring up, Mr. Williams, but I asked both of you guys this. The Saints and Jameis, fool's gold or maybe a contender?
Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say fool's gold. I still don't believe in him. He had good flashes of brilliance in Tampa Bay. We know how that ended up. Fool's gold.
All right, so you're just going to continue to shit on Jameis because of his past record. I get it. I understand. So why don't you go ahead and make a crab legs joke here, whatever you want to do. Just keep punishing Jameis for his past and refuse to look forward. I get it. Mr. Williams, you go.
I think that Sean Payton is going to put him in spots to succeed, much like how Stefanski puts Baker Mayfield in spots where he could succeed when he uses heavy formation. And look, this is the main reason why I liked the Saints last week. I saw everybody on NFL Today pick the Packers, and I was like, yes, I like that. I'll take the Saints all day. You get Sean Payton with a whole year to have a game plan around Jameis. Now, he's not going to throw 5 touchdowns for less than 150 yards every game, but he's going to put him in situations where he can succeed. Jameis looked good. I mean, so I think he can possibly get this team to 9, maybe 10 wins. It's got a good offensive line. It's got a good defensive line. I think he's going to have average to maybe slightly above average year.
They're going to be in the hunt for the wild card all year long. I wanted to take them, and Chris took them before I could, and then I took the Falcons and just completely put the kibosh on them. Chris laughed at me for taking the Falcons, and now he's just dancing on their grave, taking shots at them multiple times this podcast. So that leaves one thing left, one business left to get done. It is Hot Rod's Upset Special of the Week. And guess what? I'm calling a curveball already in week 2. I'm not going with an NFL game. I'm going with a college game. And I'm going to keep with the spirit of absolutely being a wrestling heel against the state of Indiana football. I am going to pick the Boilers are going to upset the Irish at home this Saturday. You're getting 7 with the Boilers. Take the points if you want them, but I'm going to say the Boilers don't need it. They're going to beat the Domers by over a touchdown. Notre Dame is fool's gold, and we're going to find out this week when their home winning streak is snapped.
I was about ready to ask if it was in South Bend, so that's their home winning streak is going to end, you say?
To the Boilers, yes, because the Boilers have wanted to play them. They haven't played for, 5 years, I think, at this point? Maybe
it's been
even
a minute.
6?
It's been a minute. That's the one game we used to always get tickets to was Notre Dame Purdue.
Purdue's better than Toledo, and Notre Dame had all they could handle from Toledo. Had to play both quarterbacks. Mr. Williams, how nuts am I?
Dude, I'm going to give you a chance to retract your pick because of this. Listen to this. Purdue's going to be without their famous drum because it's too big for the Irish Stadium. The world's largest drum is going to be without Purdue for the first time since 1979. That's their safety blanket. They can't beat Notre Dame without their drum. Come on.
Is Purdue Pete going to still be there?
Yeah, he might
because
be.
like Purdue Pete's head is pretty big too. Can they get that through the stadium?
Yeah,
like,
Purdue
what's Notre
Pete
Dame
will be
doing?
there because the little leprechauns always steal his hammer at every Irish home game.
Oh, nice. All right, there we go. Well, there you go. That can be the only fun that anybody that goes to that game on Saturday is going to have to look forward to. Because I'm telling you, I do not like what I see out of the Irish. I do not like what I see out of Brian Kelly already yanking around his quarterbacks in week 2. I mean, come on. Jack Cohen's your quarterback, or he isn't, man. The youngster who's been here, he's the quarterback. What are you doing, Brian Kelly? I fail to understand what Brian Kelly's deal is, and he's going to end up being the winningest coach in Notre Dame football history without ever even sniffing a national championship, and it's going to be sad.
By the way, the best groundbreaking analysis of the whole pod was Chris saying that the leprechaun always takes Petey's hammer.
You're not going to get that anywhere else, folks. You are not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah. Listen, I have witnessed it with my own eyes multiple times.
Just flat out
right.
quality.
Yeah.
Just quality.
Exactly. Also notice that Chris has failed to bring up his IU Hoosiers ever since what happened to them in week 1. But
Listen,
Big Ten football just came up there. No, Chris, it's okay. You don't have to. We'll find out this weekend. We'll find out again this weekend. They play Cincinnati.
There was a small slimmer of hope when you said upset state of Indiana that you might pick IU over Cincinnati, but you went the opposite route and had to pick Purdue. As an IU fan, you should be ashamed for picking Purdue to win anything.
No, you're right about that, but I'm just, like I said, I'm just going full out wrestling heel. I am just standing in the middle of the ring, just yelling at South Bend, Indiana. Oh yeah, Notre Dame stinks. Mr. Williams, what do you got? Final thoughts.
Hoosiers at home with Tom Allen. They can pull off the upset against Cincinnati. They're not only Chris's Hoosiers, they're my Hoosiers. Tom Allen's going to get them ready to go. That game's going to come down to the wire.
Nice. You sounded like a wrestling promo there, Mr. Williams. That was great.
Let's go. Tom Allen Hoosiers. Let's go.
All right, Chris, your final thoughts, and then we're gonna wrap this thing. Jimmy's gonna be mad at us. We've run a little long here.
When the season started, I was actually worried about week 2's matchup for my Cowboys against the Chargers. I am less worried now. I think the Cowboys come out on top on that game.
Wow, look out! You failed to mention this when we talked Chargers earlier. You just had the parting shot from Chris King here. Good Lord. That's what we're going to have to start doing at the end of the football shows now. Chris, your parting shot where you're just going to knife somebody on the way out.
What about Lawrence being out, though? That's a big loss, defensive end.
Cowboys win.
Wow.
Look out. We've all just gone full on wrestling here at the end. Chris is just going straight Cowboys fanboy wrestling. Williams is going babyface. I'm going heel. We got to get out of here. But speaking of wrestling, I mentioned at the top of the show, tune in to Jimmy and I every once in a while for Yeah We Know in the Ring with Hot Rod and Jimmy. That's right, Hot Rod. I play a wrestling character over there. You heard a little bit of it on this episode, and I hope you had a good time. NFL Week 2, get your picks in. As always, take Williams' advice, but we're not guaranteeing anything, all right? Don't come knocking on our door if you lose money on a bet. You're an adult. If you put a bet down, you made your decision. We're just trying to give you something to think about. Chris, what do we say at the end?
Goodbye, Internet.